Good morning. Oh, you could do better than that. Come on. Good morning. All right, okay. That's all right. What do you think we should try one more time?
One more time.
Good morning. All right. I don't know. I think you must be sleepy this morning. I don't know. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name's Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation as minister. Our apologies to those who usually sit outside. We have a cooked system, so we need to hopefully fix that later on today. Thanks for being here. I have an announcement. I arrived early this morning, as I do, and I noticed that nobody had signed up for coffee, so unfortunately we don't have any coffee today. Well, nobody had signed up for coffee, but you know who showed up. So we do have coffee this morning, thanks to the hospitality crew. If you would like to volunteer, if you'd like to put your name on the list to help out, then see anybody there in the kitchen. Stephanie's there, Gary's there, Maria's there today. So please do. Announcements. There's a concert this afternoon, and Sean's going to tell us about that.
Hi. I thought it was happening later. Today at 3 o'clock in this space, Jane Mitchell is going to be presenting a fantastic concert with Abby and Eric and Jesse Greenbaum. And if you don't know who Jane and Eric are musically, Jane is Associate Principal Viola of the Naples Phil, and Eric has also played with the Phil and plays with them regularly, and they're really amazing, and I heard them in my house earlier this week, so that was fun. But anyway, it's going to be a great concert of viola music, as well as a trio with clarinet, a duo with another viola, correct? And all of the music's cool. So 3 o'clock, it's free concert, and there will be a donation accepted at the end. So.
All right. And thanks to Jane and Eric for providing their wonderful talents. Is Owen going to play anything today? No. Okay. All right. Maracas, something like that. After the next Sunday, we have Andy Solis, former county commissioner, Collier County commissioner, and Buddhist sensei will be providing the service next week with Steve Espinosa as his worship associate. And after the service next week, we have a summer forum, I guess you could call it that. John Murtaugh, who has presented to us before about safety and security, will be here with a presentation calling Countering Active Threat Training. So after the service next week, if you're interested in sort of the ongoing safety and security of the congregation, that would be a great one to come to. So how do we stay aware? How do we know what to look for, so forth and so on? He's done a piece of that before, but this is an extended thing for that. So that's next Sunday after the service. And thanks very much to Bobby Schuster, who is our worship associate today. She has an extra role because it's a question service. So she's going to be asking the questions that you hand in. So I hope that you have some questions. Actually, I got plenty online, but I hope we'll mix some in from you, and we'll see what happens today and whether I melt or not. Bobby.
Thank you, Reverend Tony. It's great to see everyone here in the sanctuary. Those of you that had planned on being out on the pavilion but have joined us here, wonderful to see you. And others viewing from the net, I'm delighted to be with all of you this morning. Let me add my welcome to all of you, old friends and new, as we come together to practice the art of community. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. We strive to live our values such as generosity, transformation, peace, justice, and love everywhere. A special shout out to those of you who are new or relatively new. May we help you find activities that meet your needs and bring connection. This is a Split the Plate Sunday. Our focus is on the Guadalupe Center. Their mission is to break the cycle of poverty through education and are reaching more than 1,938 students per year with their extraordinarily successful educational programs. The Guadalupe Center offers early education program, after-school tutoring, summer enrichment, and the Tutor Corps program for high school students. The Guadalupe Center is a purpose-driven, nonprofit organization that exists to create possibilities through education for the students of Immokalee, fostering personal and academic success, leading to economic independence. We are gathering school supplies for their classroom this summer. The wish list is out on a table in the foyer on the collection box and listed in our newsletters and emails. Our service today is a question service. This is an opportunity for you to ask Reverend Tony to explain, clarify, and/or elaborate on your questions about UU, spiritual ministry, and our mission, and more. For example, I have a question for you, Reverend Tony.
Uh-oh.
What is your favorite poem?
What's my favorite poem? Well, I think quickly about the Mary Oliver poem that asks us all what we'll do with our one precious life. I think of that. But actually, I think I shared this before, but I had a poem in my wallet for most of my life that I loved. It sort of put me immediately back in touch with the four seasons that I grew up with and trees, which I grew up under. And it's a Carl Sandburg poem called Never Two Songs the Same, and it's very quick. It goes like the light on the leaves in girlish early spring, the light of deep matron leaves in the stride of high summer suns, the colors of the turning oak and maple when October crosses gold and brown. There's winter then to wait for, when trees wear frost of a morning, wear snow of an evening, when bare branches often reach out saying they would be lonely, only for the wind coming, with never two songs the same, with changes always in the old songs. There you go.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. When you entered today, you were given a note card and a pen. Please take a moment to write down your question. Include your name only if you want it read along with your question. The ushers will collect them during the service, and they will be answered at that time. For the moment, let's take a deep breath, relax, and center ourselves for a time of worship with this morning's prelude.
We come into our time together with eagerness and delight, with joys and sorrows and hopes to share, with questions hoping to find answers, with ideas waiting to be heard. We gather on this beautiful day in Naples, Florida, with courage and love, with minds open to possibility, with hearts ready to heal, with hands prepared to help. We join in this community of all ages with wonder and curiosity, with songs to sing, with stories to tell, with the Spirit of truth guiding us on. Please join me in the chalice lighting words you'll see on the screen and on your order of service. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. And let's rise in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn. We laugh, we cry. It is number 354 in the gray hymnal. We'll sing the first and last verse.
We sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
And if you do have your questions ready now, you can pass them toward the middle aisle, and either Kathy or Patty will pick them up. And there'll be another opportunity during the service if you've got something ready. Anybody have a question that you haven't handed in already? There's one over here, down here. Yep. So, I did receive a number of questions online. Thank you very much for doing that. I am not going to name anybody in terms of who asked a question today, because nobody responded to that particular question of whether you wanted your name announced or not. So I err on the side of caution. So Bobby, you have some of those questions that came in.
Yes, I do. And Reverend Tony, the first question that was asked is, what do I say to my friends when they ask, what kind of a church is UU? I struggle with a clear answer. And if they ask, what does it believe in? Or is it Christian? Or does it believe in God? Or the comment, so anybody can believe in anything and be a UU? I'm even more unsure. Suggestions, please?
So I do get that question often. More than any other question, I think, is how do I tell people about this place and what we do? There's a story that I've shared before by our minister who's now serving in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Reverend Tom Ballot, who, in serving in his first ministry in the Midwest, went to an action, a protest. Doesn't really matter which protest it was, but he's out there carrying a sign, and he had his stole on, and there were reporters covering this particular action, and he was pointed out as a minister who was there with the group. And so the reporters, there were two of them, sort of cornered Tom and sort of wanted to know why he was there as a minister and what kind of church is a Unitarian Universalist church. And first of all, how do you spell that? Because I need to do that. And then, so Tom responded that we are a congregation of people who have come together to live their values and to actually serve each other under a covenant. We share a covenant of how we want to be together. And so the reporter said, yeah, but what do you believe? And he said, well, we have a group of people who believe different things, but that's a creedal question. We are a covenantal congregation, so we gather under the umbrella of how we choose to be with one another. And so the questions kept coming. Yeah, but are you a Christian church? Do you believe in God? And the answer every time was, that's a creedal question. We are a covenantal congregation. So that's one way to look at it. That doesn't necessarily help, I think, people who are trying to figure this out. So because this question came in online, I did find a couple of quotes that I think you could respond with, and I'll share how I think we might move forward with this as a group. The first quote I have came from one of the very first black Unitarian ministers, Louis McGee, who wrote that ours is a religion of social concern, a religion of intellectual and ethical integrity, a religion that emphasizes the dynamic conception of history and the scientific worldview, a religion that stresses the dignity and worth of the person as a supreme value, and goodwill as the creative force in human relations. This religion can and ought to become a beacon from which a beautiful faith shines. So that's one sort of possible answer. The theologian Paul Reiser writes that liberal theology, we are a liberal theological, we are under the umbrella of liberal theology, is not for the faint of heart. So you could say that it's really not for you if you're faint of heart. It points us in a general direction without telling us a specific destination. It refuses to make our commitments for us, but holds us accountable for the commitments we do make. A liberal religious tradition is an invitation, not a mandate. It invites us to live with ambiguity without giving in to facile compromise, to engage in dialogue without trying to control the conversation, to be open to change without accepting change too casually, to take commitment seriously but not blindly, and to be engaged in the culture without succumbing to the culture's values. Liberal religion calls us to strength without rigidity, conviction without ideology, openness without laziness. It asks us to pay attention. And it is a eyes wide open faith, a faith without certainty. So those are great, and you've heard them, and you're not going to go repeating them because. But I might add, list these in the newsletter actually. But it does bring to mind the fact that we do need to sort of review our Unitarian Universalist theology, and I think this year my teaching over the course of the year on Wednesday nights is going to be UU centralized. And maybe at some point in that, we will do, again, how to write a credo, your own credo, so that you can share what you think a Unitarian Universalist congregation should be like. For those of you who want to take the easy way out, which is not really the UU way, but just turn your orders of service over and carry that with you and hand it to the person who asked the question. It's a beautiful statement written by a former president of the association, Bill Schultz, who was also president of Amnesty International, a wonderful thought-provoking person who always gets us thinking. So take a look at that. So that was the first question. We may get through a couple more, I think. Let's try another one.
It seems that Universalism's role in UU is less prominent than that of Unitarianism, even though its tenets are perhaps more in sync with the times. I hadn't heard much of Universalism and had to look up its history, which wasn't the case for Unitarianism.
I think that's true. There was a real concern among Universalists prior to the merger of the two denominations in 1961 that they would be sort of subsumed into the Unitarian Universalist world. And there was good reason for that, because they were, in terms of numbers, a much smaller group than the Unitarians. The good news for the Unitarians when they merged is that the Universalists had a little bit more money than the Unitarians did. So Universalism came out of, as did Unitarianism, but in the late 1700s emerged from the standing Congregational Calvinist churches in New England. And their focus, of course, was universal salvation. They believed that everyone, no matter how they lived their life, would ultimately be reconnected with God in heaven. And that was their original theology, and it was based on Scripture and careful, critical look at the Scripture that was available. But they, like Unitarians, continued to evolve and change, not as quickly, and did not separate themselves as quickly from their Christian traditions, the Christian tradition in terms of their language and their formats, until much later. They were impacted by the humanist movement in the early 1900s. And so this slow evolution for the Universalists basically moved from thinking about salvation literally in terms of what happens to us after we die, and moving towards universal love, that our goal is to achieve universal love, and none of us will be saved until all of us are saved, basically. That is how they moved over the years, and that they sort of began to engage sort of the modern world of science and technology as well. The church on Charles Street in Boston used to have this incredible model of the planets up front, and so very much engaged in science. So that's it. And of course, once the merger happened, both organizations that merged, but the combined organization remained open to change. And so the cultural revolution of the 60s and 70s and 80s, along with LGBTQ movement and women's movement, all that impacted our sort of our view of things today. And so theoretically, we're combined, but that sort of universal love, the love at the centerpiece, could really be attributed to our Universalist heritage.
Thank you, Reverend Tony. How do UUs think about Jesus, Buddha, and Mohammed? And how do you think about the Bible or other scriptures?
So this is a really good question, because theoretically, Unitarian Universalists look to all traditions for wisdom and guidance. We today seem to lean in more places than not, when we're talking about this, lean a little toward the Buddhist side, as I think I do in some ways. And I think we've come to appreciate the wisdom and the history of the Islamic faith And then we have a built-in bias that's been going on within sort of the Christian world since the Crusades about the Islamic world. And so we have that built-in bias, and that's continued, I think, since then. So we have something of a built-in sort of keep it at bay kind of thing about Muhammad and that world. But I do think we're beginning to appreciate more the actual words that were provided to Muhammad and were written down after by his friends and compatriots, which is now the Quran. And that's full of wonderful wisdom and stories. So the interesting thing, though, is as Unitarians sort of moved away from Christianity, we also began to sort of push back. And I think there has been more than now, but let's say through the humanist movement and through the last century, a real sort of rejection, almost to throwing the baby out with the bathwater look at Christianity. Don't talk to me about Jesus, or don't talk to me about Scripture, the Bible, because of the fact that it's been used in so many ways that we find antithetical to the ways we think. But the reality is that the Bible, both the Hebrew Scriptures and the Christian Gospels, again, are such rich documents full of wonderful stories and lessons. The life of Jesus is a model that I think we all could follow very well, and the world would be a much better place. And that is the ideal of the Christian tradition in my mind. And I think in the early part, as Unitarianism especially moved and sort of separated itself from the standing churches in New England, the goal or the idea was to continue the Reformation, to continue to sort of pare down what religion should be to its essence. And I think the lessons of Jesus are very much a part of that. So our history says that, you know, we tend to sort of push back, but I think as a whole, we need to embrace all those traditions. We need to embrace our own Christian heritage. And I will say that in coming here and understanding that this, when I arrived 11 years ago, was a good percentage of the congregation was perhaps secular humanist or religious humanist. I tended to sort of shy away from God language, from using Scripture, the Bible, in illustrating my sermons, and I think that was sort of something that I'm not particularly proud of. So that's my answer to the question. We do and should embrace all the different world traditions. We honor the dignity and worth of every person, no matter what they believe. And again, all the traditions of the world have so much to offer the world these days. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Sticking with it.
So helpful, yes.
Yeah.
Will you take one more for this
Sure.
portion of the service? All right. As a humanist and an agnostic, I believe in some version of the Big Bang Theory, but then I get stuck on the question as to what came before the Big Bang. Other than positing a supernatural force, what created the original matter, atoms, that became our universe?
Let me put on my professor's outfit, and I think I have a mathematical equation in here that I can start reciting to you about the possibilities that exist. Of course, I'm not going to answer the scientific piece of that because, in fact, no one really knows what was there before that in the beginning of the expansion of this universe. We love science. We so much appreciate science, and there are, good theories. I think there are somewhere around, well, they'll probably fall into three categories. One is that, our universe is sort of a circular loop of expansion and contraction. and we're in one phase of that. Another is that there are multiple universes that are happening as the universe continues as one universe, or I don't want to get caught here, but multiple universes, an infinite number of universes. And there are variations of those things. And it's wonderful to think about, to be curious about, and to investigate. I can answer what I answered because I Googled it, so. But I think as Unitarian Universalists, my sense is that there's a couple of ways to look at it. One is that it's a mystery. And isn't that wonderful? And I suggested to Abby and Sean one song by Iris DeMent, Let the Mystery Be. It didn't necessarily fit in, but just let the mystery be. And I think we don't sort of appreciate the mysteries of this world, of which there are many. I mean, we look out the window and we think, how did this happen? And there's, I suppose there are scientific answers, but the wonder of it all, that sense of awe and just the feeling it gives us of being a part of something that's incredible is what I think Unitarian Universalists need to focus on. I mean, if you really think about the idea, the Big Bang, and we don't really know, actually, if there was a Big Bang, because who was there? I don't know. Is anybody there? But think about that singularity that existed, which is what sort of is theorized, at least for this universe. Think about the fact that at that time, within that singularity, everything that exists now was there. We are all part of that original singularity, because everything that has been created in this universe, if it's the only one, came from that moment. So our sense of the interconnectedness of all things, this web of life, this web of creation, that's the germ. And isn't that beautiful? And since we can't know, let's go with that. I think that's a good answer. So, all right.
Thank you so much, Tony.
So let's hold off some more and then join in singing our centering hymn, Gathered Here in the Mystery of This Hour. Number 389 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen. We'll sing it. What do we do usually? Elaine's looking at us to say, are you going to do a round? Yeah. No, we're not going to do a round. We're going to sing it through twice. Yeah.
No round? No round, okay. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near.
We are a welcoming community that gathers together seeking connection, a greater connection than we might experience otherwise. And as a community, we take the time each week to share joys and sorrows of a personal nature so we can care for one another, so that we do know what's going on in each other's lives. We are each other's magnitude and bond, as the great poet once said. If you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share, raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. I do want to acknowledge, as I don't do necessarily every week, but the harm of war harm that's being done in the world in the name of politic or idealism. It is a sorrowful, terrible thing for children to die in war. And it seems to me unconscionable that anyone would actually think about engaging in war knowing one child would die. So we honor our own feelings about what goes on in the world. We pray, if we pray, for the people of anywhere in the world that's undergoing violence. And we hope that in time, people will recognize the uselessness and the horror of war. If you have a joy or a sorrow this morning of a personal nature, please raise your hand, and I'll bring you the microphone.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Andrews. Is this on?
No?
Okay, I'm Phyllis
Hold on.
Andrews. I just have to say that my daughter was here last week and we went to the Holocaust Museum. And it was the first time I'd ever been there, and I saw so many similarities to what happened then and what is happening now in the United States. It was really, really frightening. So that's my sorrow.
I'm on green now. Dan? Okay. Go back there. I'll be right there.
Hi, I'm Bill Halbrick, and I'm here with my husband, Dave Sleeper. And 39 years ago tonight, we met. And to celebrate that, we're going to come to the 3 o'clock concert today to celebrate. Thank you.
Hello, I am Omar Keys. My joy today is all the pleasantness that goes here at the UC, coming to the garden on Tuesdays, being able to participate, and just the grace that happens with the events, the Emerson Academy, and the things that go on here is always nice.
Thanks. Omar's son is wowing the academy this week, this coming 2 weeks.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Morell, and I think that it would be so good if we could start conversations with, I'm okay and you're okay, because it leads to solutions to problems. Thank you.
All right. You are okay, Elizabeth. Thank you. All right. Get 2 microphones now. I feel very powerful. Yes, that's true. I have 3. Make sure it's on there. I think it is.
Hi, I'm Janet Malozzi, and tomorrow we're traveling to visit family, fly up to DC, and then go up the East Coast and visit. We're going to hit everybody, and then when we get back, we have a crew from Kansas that's coming to visit, so in the next few weeks, we're going to see all the family.
All right. All right. And then you come back here for R&R. Oh, sorry.
I don't know what took over me. My arm just flew up into the air. Good morning. I'm Camila. Well, the pretty classic thing for me is that my joy is this, all of this, being here with all of you. I maybe have spoken to each of you, maybe not. Maybe today's the day. But just thank you so much for showing up and being here and being yourself.
And thank you for being you. You're okay too. Anyone else? All right. One more. Where? Oh. Sorry, Gail.
I'm Gail Ryder, and my sorrow today is I read in the news when I woke up this morning some of the statistics about the prison in Alligator Alley. And the numbers are 900, and I think I remember 23 in one cage with 3 tiny little, I hate to say this, but 3 tiny little toilets that are also the sink where they have to brush their teeth. And it's all open. So you're on the potty and everybody's watching. I mean, I just can't imagine this. And I'm wondering, can we demonstrate there? Can we go and complain? Can we, I don't know.
That's a question that I'll try to answer, perhaps after the meditation at time, but it's a worthy question. Thank you. Let's join together now in the spirit of meditation. Well, actually, I'll answer that question now. So I think that the answer is that it's a very difficult place for numbers of people to show up. Betty Osceola from the Muskogee tribe is there every day, I believe, and would welcome people to go and be with her there, but it's not a place for any kind of mass protest. Route 41 is a narrow road, and there's not a lot of room there, so it could be dangerous. That's one way to look at it. Writing letters supporting the Native community, doing that. Based on what I said last week, I co-authored an op-ed that's in the newspaper, or the online version of the Naples Daily News today, that was submitted by Sharon Harris Ewing about the detention center. And I've also authored a letter that I'm passing around to clergy to try to get a number of names on it so that we can send that to our elected officials and others. It's a difficult time, but I do sense an upsurge of really discomfort with what's going on. The Catholic bishop of the Diocese of Venice has spoken out. I've seen a couple of local sermons by rabbis, especially Rabbi Chorny from Temple, it's on Pine Ridge anyway, and Adam Miller has spoken as well at the larger temple. So I think there are voices that are rising, and I think we need to continue to do that. And it's hard to continue to say, write letters and call. But that's really our opportunity now. And if you have an opportunity to go down to the entrance to the detention center, then maybe take somebody with you and introduce yourself to Betty, who's, I think, usually there. And there will be a couple of rallies. The one this coming week on the 17th is in honor of John Lewis, whose birthday is the coming week, and so there'll be a big rally at the courthouse, as there have been. There'll be a rally on, I think it's August 3rd or 1st or 3rd, in Bonita or in Fort Myers that will speak to the detention center, I think. So there are opportunities to let your voice be heard. And thank you for that question and for your concern, because it's a worthy one. Let's join in meditation. there are always questions. Big questions for which we cannot know the answer. How large is the universe in which we live? How long will it last? Why did complex life spring forth on our planet just once in its 4 billion year history? Why do human beings need so urgently to love and be loved? And despite the need for love, why do we often do things that hurt others, even those to whom we're close? Why do we war with each other, knowing that we can only cause greater harm than we can ever repair? Why is it when all our needs are met that we can become so alienated, so terribly bored or angry or lonely or frightened, though the world holds much that we could not help loving? If we just stop and notice and let these things speak to us. How is it that every person we know, even those we hold dearest, are more than we will ever know? We never even know all of ourselves. How is it we can know deep within that we've hurt another, but never let that knowledge near enough the surface to act on it? There are always questions. Big questions for which we cannot know the answer. How is it we so often forget that we dwell all our lives in mystery? We only need to stand humbled before the mystery of creation. We simply need to remember that our lives can never be as orderly as we would want, and that we need one another more than we care to admit. How is it that only in these rare moments of humility do we feel our deepest yearnings? Let's share some silence together.
A reading. Cherish Your Doubts by Robert Terry Weston. Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the attendant of truth. Doubt is the key to the door of knowledge. It is the servant of discovery. A belief which may not be questioned binds us to error, for there is incompleteness and imperfection in every belief. Doubt is the cornerstone of truth. It is an acid which eats away the false. Let no one fear the truth, that doubt may consume it, for doubt is a testing of belief. The truth stands boldly and unafraid. It is not shaken by the testing. For truth, if it be truth, arises from each testing stronger and more secure. Those that would silence doubt are filled with fear. Their houses are built on shifting sands. For those who fear not doubt and know its use are founded on rock. They shall walk in the light of growing knowledge, and the work of their hands shall endure. Therefore, let us not fear doubt, but let us rejoice in its help. It is to be the wise as a staff to the blind. Doubt is the attendant of truth. Our musical response is Do I Dare by David Wilcox.
Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind? Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind? You ask me if I'm faithful. You ask me if I'm true. I answer with a question, 'cause it's all that I can do. Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind? Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind? I don't have all the answers. I can't explain it all. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I think I hear a call. Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind? Do I dare believe and let love lead my life? Could I not believe and leave that love behind?
Questions, questions. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to think of your questions and submit them. And thank you, Tony, for your thoughtful responses. Our next question is, how do you approach developing your sermon themes? For example, do you use an algorithm that you've developed over time to sort topics into categories, or maybe you base a portion of your sermons on the time of year, current affairs, locally, nationally, and beyond?
Well, since I can't spell algorithm, then I probably don't do that. Now I'm trying to spell it, so that's...
Algorithm.
No, so there's a couple of things that we've done here. So there were a number of years where I was using the Soul Matters theme books. That Soul Matters is both an organization and a provider of themes for congregations. So every month has a theme. They provide a packet for every theme, and folks get to, those who are subscribers get to vote on which themes they want to see for the following year, sometime early in the year. So we've done that in the past, and I actually may do that again with worship this year. We've been using Soul Matters consistently over the last number of years for both our chalice circles, our small group ministries, and also for our writers group, because they provide really good prompts based on themes. The wonderful thing about any kind of thematic approach to congregational life is that if you're all on the same page, doing the same themes, there's an ongoing conversation possible, coffee hour or anywhere else. It's sort of, you're having some of the same kinds of conversations. Over the past few years, I focused on the new values that were being proposed for our Unitarian Universalist, by our Unitarian Universalist congregations, for our new language that you've heard about multiple times, and the ideas of where those values came from. They came from people like you who wanted to see our values put forward as opposed to the 7 principles we used to do. Those 7 principles haven't gone away, by the way. They're still in your hymnals, and people are still using them for guidance. So the ethical principles, the 7 principles, the 7 values that we are for now espousing are all good sources of topics. So we go on a monthly basis. I have chosen themes over the last few months because I didn't really feel like the ones that Soul Matters offered didn't feel where I wanted to go. But I think we might sort of rejoin Soul Matters for the worship part this year, and I wish I had the themes. I could share them with you. But the themes are also now aligned with our values. So I think for me, that was the one thing that allowed me to feel like, I think this would be good, because we want to continue to sort of talk about these new values. And then, of course, across the year, we don't have a liturgical calendar, but we do. I mean, we honor Thanksgiving and the Jewish holidays and Christmas and New Year and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so we do recognize each of those every year. So they get woven in. I do also take suggestions. So if you have something you want to hear about, not just in a question service, but otherwise, that's great. Am I missing anything? No? I mean, Abby and Sean will sit down in week after next and go through what ideas we might have, and so we'll start sort of nailing those things down. So I think that's the answer. Was there anything else in there?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right.
Our next question asks, Reverend Tony, any recommendations for some of us who know that self-care is very important in this time of hyper-partisanship, but yet can't help feeling that such self-care is indulgent in the face of the atrocities unleashed by the current government?
Yeah. I know I struggle sometime with this. I think Did you say, I don't know if you just saw, I just took an inhale and breath and held it. And sometimes we end up holding our breath a lot, and that's not a good thing. We need to keep breathing. And I think that this is a marathon. And we need to be able to be healthy and awake and prepared to run that marathon that we're in terms of trying to create that beloved community that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about. And we do that by taking care of ourselves as well, and it's really, really important. Those of us who are caught up too much in the news cycle, it tends to affect you negatively. And if you don't take the time for regular exercise, for regular whatever it is that sort of allows you to get to the center of yourself and just sort of reflect and sit, then I think you're probably not giving yourself all that you could have to fight those battles that we all need to fight out there in the world, whether it's just making it day to day or whether it's going to protest, Alligator Alley or Alligator Alcatraz. I think it's really important. So in seminary, this is one of the first things that we hear. In the orientation to seminary, we heard about you need, as a minister, to take care of yourself. And we heard it all through the time in seminary. Annie Roger Yeager. Do you remember Annie Roger? Anybody here? She's a former member of the congregation, now living up in North Carolina. Annie Roger sent me a little post this week. It read, and this is about ministry, but I think it applies to everybody. Being a minister, being a pastor is like a walk in the park. Jurassic Park, maybe, but a park nonetheless. So we need to be ready, attentive and aware, and the only way to do that is to take care of ourselves. So it's encouragement. I know it's hard, but it's definitely worthwhile. All right.
Thank you, Tony. Care to describe how you view the membership of UUCGN in terms of the level of interest in social justice work, spiritual awareness, and seeking a sense of community? Any other areas you'd add to the list? I'm not asking for counts on the percentages of folks for whom one of these is topmost, just an overall sense.
I think we're all here because we need, desire a sense of community. So I think that's 100% if that works. And we wouldn't be here otherwise. I think we find with each other that sense of connection, and that's really important for us just as much as this is self-care, what we do here. And in terms of our sort of level of interest in social justice, I think that also is pretty universal. There are people who are here because they do need a place, a sanctuary to come to and find a respite, whether it's for an hour on Sunday or sitting in the garden. And that's really what they need right now, and that we honor that as well and as much. What was the other thing?
That was asking any other areas that you'd like to add to the list.
I think in terms of involvement in social justice, I could ask people to raise their hands and ask how many people are volunteering out there in the community, and it would be a high percentage, whether it's today or whether the seats are full in the middle of March. It's a high percentage of people who are engaged in some form of volunteerism. And we also need to acknowledge the fact that many of the things that we do in our daily life are important. The idea that living our life and living our values, however we do that, in whatever small way, is important and, in fact, is promoting the values that we want to see in the world. So I think all of us do that. And so whether we're, going to drive down and be with Betty Osceola at the detention center, or whether we are caring for a partner, or whether we are just out in the world trying to be our best self, we are engaged in social justice and social action. So I think that too is pretty universal. So I think that's my answer.
Thank you, Tony. Our next question asks, how's the health of Unitarian Universalism several years after the COVID period in terms of recovery judged by increases in the number of members in congregations throughout the country, level of financial support, congregations' ability to fill open ministerial positions, etc.? And where on the bell curve does UUCGN sit?
Wow. Unitarian Universalism, I think, it always seems to be at a crossroads. We are not growing. We are not shrinking necessarily. We're just maintaining, and that's a problem because the population is growing and we're not. We continue, or we're still scratching our heads to some degree about the fact that, gosh, there are all these, nuns out there, N-O-N-E-S, nuns, who aren't affiliated anymore, and or spiritual but not religious people out there. And why aren't they here? Why don't they show up on Sunday morning? Partly because they don't know we're here. We don't do a good job of promoting ourselves. We've sort of been anti-evangelical for a long time, but I think we need to think about that pretty clearly. And we're in a moment where I think we can, both in terms of the possibilities we offer people for spiritual growth within a community, and also the opportunities that people have for engaging in social justice, and if they wish, we're a natural. I think there are a number of reasons why we haven't grown over the years, because we're primarily white, we're primarily upper middle class or higher, we're primarily educated people, and I think we have a certain there's a combination of our whiteness, our white culture, and our elite culture within Unitarian Universalism that tends to put people off. We are not as down to earth as we think we are, and I think we need to think about that. So that goes across the board in terms of Unitarian Universalism. We really need to rethink who we are, what we're doing, and what we're about. At the recent General Assembly, I think the conversation was started. Yes, last year we voted on the values with love at the center, and generosity, and interdependence, and justice, and equity, and pluralism, and transformation as those aligning values. This year, the sessions, the primary sessions, were about meeting the moment along a spectrum of categories, whether that means meeting the moment in trying to build our diversity, meeting the moment in our religious education, meeting the moment in worship. There were 11 categories and 11 cohorts of people meeting, and they're going to try to carry those conversations forward so that we can dive a little deeper as a whole movement and see what we might come up with. So there's an attempt from the association to build something new and something that might appeal. But we struggled with that, that's for sure. And if we can't meet this moment, if you look across the room here and across most Unitarian Universalist congregations, we are aging, and that's true for many mainline traditions as well. But unless we bring younger people in and inspire them to participate, unless we can welcome families well, we're not going to survive that much longer. So, no timelines there, but I think it's really something that each congregation, because we are autonomous as a congregation, each congregation needs to attend to, because The association isn't going to solve our problems. We're going to solve our own problems and identify them. And part of one of the questions I did get in an email was, well, I've heard snippets about a strategic plan and what's that all about. Part of that is to do that work. Who are we and what do we aspire to be, and how do we align each of the parts of this whole to move in that direction? And so I think that's really important. And the news about that is that yesterday there was a board retreat, just sort of a learning session, a conversation session, and we did learn from, we did have a presentation from the strategic planning task force about where they are. Some of you may have been involved in some focus groups. Is it 11:15 already? Holy mackerel. Sorry. Some of you are involved in focus groups. Some of you have sort of heard some of the questions, or trying to build a sense of where our strengths and weaknesses are, what our challenges are, where our opportunities are. Through those, and there have been 5, there'll be 5 more, I think at least 5 more. And then we'll be gathering at larger groups. And as a congregation, we're going to make this determination, who we are, where we want to go, based on the visioning work we did last year. So I think we're on the right track as a congregation in terms of that, and I really applaud the task force and the board for supporting that task force. So I think that's a great thing. But yeah, we're in a moment here, and we got to figure out how to meet it. Absolutely. And should we answer one more question?
It's up to you.
Yeah. Is the next one a good one?
Many wonderful,
Is it
important
juicy?
questions.
Yeah.
All worthy of an answer. Our next question is asking about the new IRS decision. Will the new IRS decision to allow, without penalty, endorsement of political candidates during church services change how you approach political statements from the pulpit? Conservatives are praising it as a step toward greater religious freedom. I'm just reading the words. Or others express concern about political implications for campaign finance and the separation of church and state. How would you describe what your policy has been in the past? It seems to me that you're careful and circumspect in what you say, and you advise the congregation not to make political statements during their joys and sorrows.
That's a great question, and I think I believe that still requires sort of a judicial review, but it is the settlement of a lawsuit. So I believe that's going to stand. It just needs to be clarified as to the extent of it and what the details are. But I disagree with the ruling or the new position. I think the separation of church and state is important. I'm not here to tell you what to think and what to do, and my concern is that a ruling like that will allow what's already happening, I guess, in many congregations, which is the power of the pastor to tell people how they should vote and what they should think will continue or grow, and I think that's wrong. I think it's really antithetical to who we are in terms of pursuing our own understanding, our own conscience. We believe in the right of conscience, and my job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to, as best I can, inspire you to think, to understand yourself and the world, and that has nothing to do with individuals out there that are either doing great work or causing harm. I go so far. I think that is a natural thing for me. I don't think I've ever felt comfortable calling names, and I don't think I ever will. So that's very much a personal, natural boundary that I have, and so it's not conscious necessarily. But it's not going to change. I can't imagine it would be not me. So I think that's it. And thank you for. Sorry, I just didn't realize what time it was. So you're up.
All right.
The next step is the offering, right?
Okay, all right. It's been a wonderful, wonderful time together, hearing your questions and for Reverend Tony to answer those questions. The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and the people here. Our offering is an affirmation. When we give, we say yes to what we value. As mentioned earlier in our service, this is a Split the Plate Sunday focusing on the important work of the Guadalupe Center. For those online, please send your contribution to the address on the screen or use our website at uunaples.org. All gifts are truly appreciated. The ushers will gratefully receive your offering.
If you knew that you would die today, you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that love can break your heart when you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction would cause an effect? Makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. If you knew that you would be alone, knowing right and being wrong, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would find a truth that brings up pain that can't be soothed, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction would cause an effect? Makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Are you so upright you can't be bent if it comes to blows? Are you so sure you won't be crawling? If not for the good, why risk falling? Why risk falling? If everything you think you know makes your life unbearable, would you change? Would you change? If you've broken every rule and vow, and hard times come to bring you down, would you change? Would you change? If you knew knew that you would die today. If you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? Would you change? Would you change?
Like that. So because there are things happening this afternoon and there's coffee to be had, there really is coffee, we will close the service right now and forego the final hymn. We'll sing it sometime soon, one of my favorites, Blue Boat Home. But the final answer is love. It's really the only answer. And the sooner that everyone realizes that, then the better off we'll be. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings. Thank you so much for your patience. Have a wonderful day. Oh, there were. And you didn't even ask any from the audience.